Hey everybody, welcome to our first little bit of Marvel Monday, I guess is what we're going to call it. This weekend we did a live stream of a impromptu one-shot game that involved Daredevil and the Punisher, and it was actually a lot of fun. So we're going to kick off this wonderful episode with a small intro into the world, so people know what's going on. It's a bit of a change from what people are used to, perhaps. It's a little bit after the MCU. Endgame had occurred and all that type of stuff settled into the Marvel Universe. So the first part of the session is going to be discussing that setting with both us as players and me, the storyteller, and also informing the chatters that were watching us do the live stream. Since it was a live stream, you may occasionally see myself or the cast members talking to people that you're not, wondering what's going on. It's because our chat was talking to us as we were playing occasionally. And so we'd say hi to them, or address a question, or maybe repeat something that they had said. I'm still not sure if we're going to leave the chat in the window in the future. We'll see how people feel about that. But here's our first little episode. We're going to cut this session into a couple small different episodes, so that way we buy a little time so we can keep continuously coming out with new stuff involving this. It was a lot of fun. We enjoyed playing the game. So the guys wanted to continue playing, and we'll see where it goes from there. But if there's anything that you particularly liked about the episode, or we have any comments, or what kind of things you'd like to see happen to the characters, feel free to comment down below, because some of those ideas may actually pop up. Additionally, if you want to see more of our different cast members playing their characters, like for Marvel or any other system, drop a line in the comments. We might try some new stuff out occasionally as a one-shot or so and see how it goes, and maybe they'll have fun. Maybe it'll be disastrously bad for them. Who knows? But drop a line. There's also going to be some things coming up. I think probably the next episode I'm going to give a link to the Twitch channel in the description so you guys can come by and check it out. Right now we're trying to get our schedule together, so should be fun. Down below I'm going to put in the description some time markers, so if you want to skip past the introduction to the world and the setting, you can jump straight to when the session starts proper, right? Anyways, have fun enjoying the video. We'll see you guys later. All right, so here we go. This is the first ever tabletop live stream for us, so it's gonna be kind of fun. We got a small little cast here. We got our friend Chris playing Frank Castle, and we got Jeff playing Matt Murdock, better known as Daredevil and the Punisher, respectfully. So I'm gonna give it to everybody watching the same time I give it to these guys, a little bit of background on what's going on. Now, they know we're playing in New York. We know we're doing something a bit after the MCU has kind of settled in after Endgame. So basically what's been going on since Endgame, a lot of stuff has changed in the world, so to speak. Obviously it's the early 2020s at the end of Endgame, I believe. Some heroes are gone, so spoiler alert, there's no Captain America anymore right now. Cap came back very old after returning the Infinity Stones and gave his shield over the Falcon. Hulk has kind of retreated from being a superhero. As we saw in Endgame, he was kind of a local, like a celebrity, but not really, didn't get the feel that he was actually doing heroic shit. So he's kind of out of the limelight. We've got also the death of Tony Stark, which is a huge thing, which means that Stark Industries is kind of in a weird place right now. Pepper's resuming the position of CEO, but she also has Morgan to take care of. So Stark Industries is there, but not really doing a lot right now. It's still branching out its technologies that Tony was trying to get out there, to get away from weapons engineering. In that void, though, other companies and other entities started coming into the fore. So one of those is Oscorp. Now, for people who have watched the Spider-Man movies, we have not seen much at all about Norman Osborn or Oscorp as a whole. Outside of Spider-Verse, there wasn't really anything done with him, recently in Spider-Man, cinema. So to that respect, Norman has never been Green Goblin. He still may be unhinged because he is a very power-hungry and very greedy CEO. However, he has done some things that kind of fill the void that was left behind by Stark. In that respect, he has basically picked up a lot of Department of Defense contracts. Since the Sokovia Accords passed, basically doing hero work and being that type of hero the Avengers were is illegal. You get caught, you get thrown in jail, as we saw previously. So that's still in effect. Even after what happened with Thanos, there was really no talk about that being repealed or abolished, so it's still in effect, which means that the Avengers as a whole really can't do their job because they're still considered criminals. Even people like Rhodey, who basically hung up on the Secretary of Defense, is kind of, left holding the bag, so to speak. In their place, however, since there's still a need for defense of America's interests and other human interests, Norman Osborn has commissioned the revival of the Avengers Initiative as a concept and has made his own Avengers. One of Oscorp's first real big successes was this sort of, new take on the super soldier serum that created Steve Rogers. It was used on a soldier by the name of John Walker, who became U.S. agent. After that happened, Osborn went and recruited Eddie Brock from the West Coast to come be part of the Avengers as Venom. And then he reached out to a mercenary that was willing to do anything for money, and hero work is one of those things, and he reached out to Bullseye. Now, for Osborn himself, some partnerships with Hammer Industries and some work with, let's just say, more unscrupulous salvagers, much like the Vulture from the Spider-Man movie, have managed to retrieve a great deal of Stark tech for him, and he built an iteration of what he viewed a Stark tech armor should be, and he became, in essence, Iron Patriot. As a result of Osborn's work with the Department of Defense, this group actually got commissioned and given authority to act as the Avengers for the Department of Defense, only within accords of the Sokovian Accords. So they have limited authority, but they're able to do work as they're allowed to by the government. That became a big thing not too long ago, and when his Avengers came out, as we can see here, they did a lot of branding. You see the Oscorp logo up there in the corner. This is kind of like one of those billboards that's occasionally around New York, as kind of like, hey, we still have heroes. We have people who are willing to follow the Sokovian Accords and be the Avengers we needed to be. Captain America's missing, Iron Man's dead, so we have these new people that come take their place. And so on that roster, they have Iron Patriot, Bullseye, Venom, and U.S. Agent. This is a huge boom for Oscorp, really, in terms of not only the PR aspect, but also increasing their ability to do Department of Defense contracts. Now, as a result of that, Oscorp made a deal with Hammer and kind of got, when Hammer was kind of on the low end of the totem pole after what happened at the Stark Expo in Iron Man 2, Hammer sold the designs for its drones to Oscorp, and Oscorp fulfilled a military contract with the Department of Defense to mass produce these drones for defense and for offense against superhuman threats. In addition, they have some of them loaned out to various municipalities across like New York and LA to combat superhuman threats. So this entire group of drones is now out there and available for the general public. Now, this isn't a police state. It's not like these things are patrolling the streets and enforcing curfew. These are like the big backups that get called in when a police force encounters superhuman, criminals or superpowered beings. They use these things as backup for the officers on the ground, and if necessary, if things get really bad, they call in the Avengers, and the Avengers show up. So for Oz, this is a windfall. This guy's making money hand over fist because Stark Industries is not stepping up to fill this need, and Hammer Industries was quite frankly an embarrassment. So when Oz stepped in and actually had a lot of success with his version of the super soldier serum, hey Russ, what's up? In making U.S. Agent, that kind of gave everybody a one-up and kind of gave him a little bit of more gusto and more political power to do what he needed to do to further his interests. Now, on top of that, we have seen in the Avengers movies that there are superhuman prisons that are available to basically hold these superpowered beings. Oscorp has an interest now in a bunch of those startups that are going across the country. So in New York, he has probably 2 or 3 different holding facilities for supernatural and superhuman creatures, because you need to have somewhere to put them while they're en route to being stored by the government, right, and put in prison. So Oscorp is just branching out to all sorts of different Justice Department holdings and Department of Defense holdings, and he's making a ton of money doing this. Now, what this means for heroes on the ground is that people like Punisher and Daredevil have to be a lot more careful, because more than likely, if push comes to shove, you're running into the drones. If it gets super bad and you really foul up, you're going to get hit by the Avengers proper, which is not something anybody wants to have happen. So that being said, that's the type of stuff that's going on in the world right now. Now, to bring things to full circle, for Frank, it's business as usual. You are still going around hunting criminals as you know how, dispatching them in really the only way you think works, which is terminaling. Taking them out, putting them in the ground, and leaving it at that. For Daredevil, things are a little more complex. Whereas Frank can leave a trail of bodies and not leave witnesses, there's a bit of an issue, especially with the law, when you're apprehending people or stopping people from committing crimes by committing a crime yourself. And that's actually brought up in court a lot. Like, hey, my client was harassed by a vigilante, a known criminal, justice. What's being done about the Daredevil problem? And it's kind of put a little bit of pressure. So it makes you operate a lot more under the cover of night than you usually would. Maybe occasionally, if necessary, during the day you go out. Now it's not even worth it. The risk is too great. You're 100% illegal. There aren't any other heroes that are able to really be active in the city. So for the most part, it's back to what it used to be. A lot of high crime going on, a lot of muggings, a lot of assaults, a lot of burglaries, because you're kind of fighting now against the tide, like you're fighting uphill. And even with all these additional resources that have been given to municipalities, if it's not superhuman crime, they're not really getting a lot of help from Oscorp. So it's really a win-win situation for the criminal, everyday criminal, which means you have to put in a lot of overtime. For the Punisher, there's definitely a manhunt out for you. Let's be honest about it. Frank has done more than enough to warrant an ongoing manhunt, so you're kind of getting by on this little grace period between everything getting adjusted after what happened with the snap and people coming back, and the Inhuman issue, which is a thing we'll get into really quick. Inhumans exist in MCU. Inhumans, their origins are unknown, but they're basically, I guess, the MCU's version of mutants. I mean, that's a very, very simplistic explanation, but it's pretty much the one that holds right now. They're beings that awaken with powers after going to a chrysalis of some type. Nobody really knows, at least publicly, what triggers it right now. And that's become a bit of a problem, because when these people develop their powers, it's not often under their control. So that becomes a bit of an issue. Now, not a lot has happened really in Hell's Kitchen regarding this. Maybe one or two here and there, but that's all been apprehended by police. It's been kind of dealt with. You don't really know what happens to them. The Inhuman stuff doesn't really hit the news right now. It's not considered a big deal. It's kind of being swept under the rug. So on the local level, on the small level on the street stuff, you'll hear about it. Maybe some kid woke up and caught his house on fire with shooting lightning or fire out of his eyes, and nobody knows what happened. And the kid's now been apprehended by some sort of agency, and he hasn't been seen since. So a lot of these types of things are going on. Then let us begin. It's probably around midnight when Frank is out and about, basically tracking down a drug dealer that he's known has killed at least 3 or 4 people. This guy basically raided a drug house, killed everybody inside, grabbed all the money, all the drugs, and took off. You managed to track him back to the edges of Hell's Kitchen. And you've got a beat on his apartment. He lives in a really, an older rent-controlled building. Some of the walls on the side of the building are obviously graffitied. Now, in New York proper, there's this really odd thing. There's not a lot of actual alleyways. The boroughs have them, right, but Manhattan itself doesn't usually have a lot of alleyways. When they do, it's really rare. So having managed to get a spot to park the van was a little rough, because parking in Manhattan is difficult. And then trying to park in Manhattan within a line of sight of what you're trying to watch is even more so difficult. So it takes a little bit of time to get in a good position. Now, as Frank is watching, you see the guy go home. Unfortunately, it wasn't a good time to jump him, because he's walking in with his kid. His kid's probably about 15, 16 years old. It's a younger son. Both of them are 2 Caucasian guys walking down the street. It's, beginning of September. It's probably 70 or so degrees outside. Um, being the summer and being Labor Day in New York, or Labor Day weekend in New York, it gets a little rough because there are no, there's with the lack of alleyways, there aren't a lot of garbage pickups. So on the way here,
Right.
most of the garbage is on the sidewalks. So you actually smell that beautiful cooking aroma of trash all day in the summer in New York. Now there is an alleyway right next to this guy's building, and you do see some dumpsters. So that's a bit of a relief to this block, to be honest. But the building itself, a little rundown. Um, there's probably about a good dozen or so apartments, more than likely, in this building. It's like an old brownstone. There's on the side of the wall that is, in the alleyway, covered in graffiti, a bunch of different gang tags. Um, some of the various gangs that run in New York City that do drugs and other types of violent crimes. You recognize these just as part of business for you. That being said, he's out walking with his kid at midnight. They're coming back home. Now, you haven't really seen this guy with his kid too often. When he's
Okay.
out doing his own thing, as you've been building, like, taking pictures and getting I guess, his movements down pat, he doesn't really go out with his kid that much. So this is probably something different. Maybe he was picking him up, walking him home from somewhere else. You do note they're coming from a rougher part of town when they're walking in. So he might have just gone with his kid to kind of walk him home, to make sure he was safe. Now, when they go inside, you can see on the side of the building, some of the lights turn on, like the living room, and then the kitchen turns on. You can see some movement inside. Um, you can see that the lights slowly start going off as they travel through the house. At about 12:30, um, it looks like you can see through one of the kitchen windows that the guy you're tracking down, John, he's waving to his kid. His kid goes. You see one of the other lights turn on, then turn off after a moment as the door closes, and he's alone in his kitchen. Do you want to go with this guy in his house, or you want to wait?
Um, I'm gonna want to wait because I don't want to do anything that's gonna traumatize this kid.
Okay, fair enough. Um, so you wait a bit longer till maybe see if he comes out again. If John like decides to go out on the street, things of that nature. And as time passes, as it starts ticking by slower and slower, um, you get to 1 o'clock, and he's still there. He's in the kitchen. You can see him. He's watching some TV, probably on his phone or like a small mobile device. Um, he's just hanging out inside. Then you see this van pull up in the alleyway right beside his house. Um, you will see two guys get out wearing looks like long coats, long black trench coats. From what you can gather from your position and where you're kind of watching things, because you want an angle on that alleyway to get a good sight at the windows in his apartment. From what you can see, it looks like you note a glint of firearms, like off of like the blackened metal of a gun barrel. And there's obviously some sort of tactical goggles on their head. Like they're not down over their eyes. It's just you can see like in the silhouettes, they're like they got them pulled up over like towards their foreheads,
Right.
and they're heading towards the back of this house. There's at least two or three of them. There are not government plates. There's New York plates on the van. Well, actually, shit, it's not even a van. This truck, it looks like an all-terrain vehicle. I'm gonna go ahead and move you over so you can see exactly what these guys look like um, as they're parked in the alleyway here. This is really not any sort of van or normal vehicle you would expect to see out on the road in New York. This thing actually does have that turret up top. And these are the guys, but they're wearing longer coats. You can't really see their tack gear, but these are the guys that step out.
Um, what weapons do I have in the battle van?
Well, it is the battle van, so it's usually well stocked. You have small arms, you have a couple of rifles, a shotgun, things of that nature. Maybe a couple of grenades here and there, for your explosives, since you have that special effect.
Right. I'm gonna grab a couple of grenades. Hopefully I was able to restock the white phosphorus. I'm gonna grab a shotgun,
Okay.
two handguns, and what I possibly have a rifle with multi-lens scope.
Sure. So what that'll do is that'll actually give you enhanced senses when you use the rifle scope. If you want to kind of like, because given Frank's varied nature and how he works, you can definitely have things like infrared scopes, things of that nature. Because that's just part of doing business for him. So if you want to do things like maybe check through the walls, you may have to get a little bit closer, but with that scope, you can definitely do it.
Is there a way? All right, how high up on the building is this guy's apartment?
Second story.
Second story,
Yep.
and the building next to him. How tall is that building?
Probably about 4. So you're looking at probably a 4-story building on the right-hand side there, of this alleyway that you can see, and his building on the left-hand side is about 5 or 6 stories up, and he's on the second floor.
And these guys are going around to the back of the building.
Yes.
All right. Once they're obviously by the time I get my my weapons, they'll be in the back. I'm gonna go ahead and cautiously look around before I exit the van.
Okay.
Again, double check to make sure I can cross the street without being spotted.
Right.
Once I'm able to do that, I'm gonna hop on the dumpsters and get up onto the emergency escape.
Okay.
And try and make my way up to the second floor so I can be near windows.
So John's apartment is what you're going into. Okay. So
I'm getting up there in case this is where they're going.
Right. Fair enough. So what I need you to do is go ahead and let's make a roll here. Since you're trying to be stealthy, they're obviously going to try to not let you pass unnoticed. So let's go ahead and build a dice pool for your first roll.
My affiliation, obviously, I'm going solo right now.
Solo right now? Does any distinction apply that Frank has?
Former Marine. I am being a sneaky son of a bitch.
That definitely works.
Trying to adapt to the environment. So that's a D8, correct?
Yes. And then you add your covert.
So I add a D10?
Yes.
Oh, I get to choose between a D10, 2D8, or 3D6. Is that it?
Yes. Yeah, and then a 2D6, and that's it. You go and roll.
All right, rolling my pool.
All right, so we've got... Oh, wait, is this the one where the dice weren't matching up with what we saw, or no?
I never had the issue with that.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
that's right.
Definitely the one.
This is the one. I'm seeing it right now. All right, so this is season 2 fight. There will be a Ding on a String later, Amara. All right, so we have to build an action pool for those who have not played this before. So his action result, he picks 2 dice that aren't ones, and then he puts those together for his action score. And then he picks an effect die, which is just the die type is what counts, as long as it's not a 1.
Right. I'm going to take the 2 6-siders, the 6 and the 4.
Okay, for 10?
And for 10, and then my effect die is going to be
the D10.
The 6 on the D10, yeah.
Well, the score that's rolled on the D6 the D10 doesn't matter. It's just the die type.
Oh, right.
As long as it's not a 1, it's good to go. So
right
now you got the 6 on the D10, and which is so weird because I'm looking at the ST screen.
The 10 I see is 10.
Has a different roll than what's on the one on the stream for people seeing. But that's fun. All right, so
really,
yes. Yeah. Now here's what you can do. Since this is pretty much just a standard roll to see if you can get by these guys, you're not really trying to create stress for them. What you can do is create a asset or complication. So you can use that D10 and have it be for their next action if they try to come out and see you, for example, to be like, hiding in the shadows. So Frank can be completely concealed, and you would get an additional D10 to add to your rolls in defense of them trying to spot you.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So let's pull that aside. Yeah, that 1D10. I'm actually going to make a note of that. So next time you have to roll stealth against a perception, you will actually have that D10 added to your dice pool as a bonus dice.
Okay.
So, Frank sits on over. You get on top of the dumpster. You manage to grab onto the railing for the emergency exit, and you pull your way up. Given that it's been pretty warm and dry lately, nothing's wet. Like there's not even that usual sheen of like steam or dew on anything yet because it hasn't gotten late enough in the morning to get a dew point. Everything's still kind of warm. Everything's still just kind of dry. When you climb up, once the very subtle rattling to your senses as you pull yourself up to the fire escape, once that dies away, you can hear the inside of the building. You hear the TV show that John's been watching in his kitchen. He's watching some game show and just like cracking up at it for some odd reason. Something in it he finds funny. For Frank, who the hell cares, right?
It doesn't matter.
Right. Now that you're up, you're crouched down by one of the windows. You can see the light coming through from the kitchen window, and the black from the windows for the living room behind you. Since that lights are turned off, you're ducked down out of sight. What do you do?
I want to make sure. All right, I'm up against the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna bring. I want to make sure that I'm back enough where when I bring the rifle up to use the scope to look through to find out where these guys are at, that I'm not exposing the barrel in the window.
Okay. So you put it up and you lean back a bit to make sure you're out of the line of sight of the light and also from John, because you don't see him anymore. You manage to get an eyeball through the scope. And as you kind of pan it around through the building, this apartment, you see there are two figures that are already in the apartment. John doesn't seem to know they're there. He's just watching, his game show on his tablet at the kitchen counter. This guy, the apartment itself is cluttered. There's some mess here and there, some takeout, maybe some empty pizza cartons. The furniture is really kind of shabby, like old fold-out card table for a kitchen table, and like old glasses and cups that probably got picked up at the thrift store. This guy you've seen at least taken a couple $100,000 by stealing from other drug dealers. So where that money's going, who the hell knows? But it's definitely not going to his apartment. You can tell that off the bat. And as you scan through the piles of garbage, with your infrared sight on the rifle, you pan it around. You see John's there. Like there's nothing in his thermal patterns that gives him any sign of being alert to any danger. You spot two relatively cool patterns across, like maybe I'd say about 50 feet from where you're sitting. So on the other side of the apartment, I've just moved through the hall from the kitchen. There's the hallway between the kitchen and the bedrooms. They move through that hallway, and you see them very quietly. They've already gone into the kid's room. So like as you spot them, the door's open and they're headed inside. You do see the third person that was with them. That guy is sitting right now outside by the back door to the apartment. And much like the Chicago back doors, like the back of the building, it's got that like really like cheesy wooden balcony on the back that's kind of questionable in terms of what kind of weight it can support. That one guy is sitting out there. Looks like he's smoking a cigarette because you see the occasional flare up of heat at the end of a cool cylinder. What you thinking? I see you're thinking.
Right. His kitchen window is open, right?
No, the shades are open, but the window itself is closed. You'll see them rustle.
Right.
You'll see some rustling in the bedroom. Nothing violent. It's just like some really quick movement. And then you see them carrying the kid. Like one guy has thrown the kid over his shoulder, limp. His heat signature shows that he's still alive. He's just subdued. He probably drugged him with that quick movement into the room. And they start walking out very quietly through the hall. And this whole time, John doesn't notice a goddamn thing. He's still just watching his game show, like a rerun of The Price is Right.
How many stories is this building? Is it 4 as well?
This one's 5, the other one's 6.
Okay. I got to get down and go around back. I got to head these guys off.
All right. So do you want to jump off the side?
It's more important than taking this guy out because he's definitely not keeping the trucks or the money.
Fair enough. So you flip the top back on the scope, grab the edge of the railing for the fire escape, and you hop over. You land in a crouch, not quite a superior landing because you're not high enough up for that. But I'm going to wipe away that 10-sided dice you've got holding as an asset because you want to stay quiet. That's going to be needed to do that. So we'll wipe away that asset you created. You will still remain very stealthy as you jump down. You start making your way towards the back of the building, and you can hear the footsteps of these trio as they start descending the wooden stairs. Now, when you come to the back of the building, there's maybe about a good 5 or 6 feet of like a wooden fence that's been kind of put up here. You can see between, just barely in between the cracks in the wooden paneling. And when you look up, you can see, hey, Emperor Oval. When you look up, you can see these guys kind of walking down, and you now see their full tack gear, as you guys see them on the picture here now. Now that they're moving outside, those masks have been pulled down. The goggles are over their eyes. 2 of them are carrying those silenced submachine guns. And the other one, the third one in the back, is carrying the kid. And they're coming down the stairs.
All right. My question is on their chest, are those smoke grenades or are they some other type of explosive?
They look like smoke grenades and or flashbangs.
Perfect. I'm gonna fucking take a knee.
Okay.
So I can rest an elbow on one, and I'm bringing the rifle up, popping open the scope. I'm nailing the first 2 in the canisters.
Okay. So effectively, you're taking a kneeling position with the rifle, pulling it up right around the corner, and you're gonna pop one of the smoke grenades.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, if they're smoke grenades or flashbangs or whatever, they're going right off in these 2 guys' faces.
Okay. So go ahead and let's build your dice pool. So you're still solo.
Solo again.
Yep.
Well, either former Marine or obsessed vigilante, either one works for this.
Either one would work, definitely. I think given that you're using your knowledge, probably...
Right, I'd go with the former Marine more than likely.
Probably go with former Marine. Now, you will add a power set now because you have your gear that you're using. You're using a weapon.
Right, and it's that's a D8.
Yes.
Right. So add another D8.
And then you add your combat skill,
which is a D10 because that's a master, and then an additional 2/6 off the bat. Right.
Yep. Now you can, if you want, spend a plot point because you have 2 right now. You can spend a plot point to adjust your roll here. You can either use it after you roll to keep additional dice. Like if you want to keep 2 effect die, like say you want to cause a complication like the smoke, right? And then you want to also cause damage, you can do that. Or if you want to have a better action score, you can roll, you can keep an additional die that you roll. Now, in addition, there's one other thing that we never really got into before with Guardians, but this is actually kind of a cool function. If you spend a plot point, you can add another power from your power sets into the roll. So, for example, I gave you like enhanced senses for having the scope, which I'd say is probably at least an 8 enhanced senses. So, if you wanted to, you can use a scope to assist you in this shot and add a plot point to be able to roll the D8 from that skill in there too.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and spend a plot point to add another D8.
Okay.
That, add the D8 down on my plot point. And then that'll be my total pool then, right?
Yep.
Alrighty.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we got a 1 there. Go ahead and take another plot point because I'm going to take that D8.
I knew you were.
Yep. So you get 1 back. So the Doom pool goes up by a D8.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go, obviously, with a 10 and the 8 for my action, and then that 8-sider for my damage.
Okay. So you'll be
so that'll be the 7 and the 5. So the 8-sider, 8-sider and a 6-sider, because I spent my plot point. No, I didn't. I spent the plot point to use
the scope.
The scope.
Yeah,
right.
It gave you another D8. So you can use the D10 for damage if you want to, or if you're trying to make a complication, like you're trying to make that smoke go off and make it harder for everybody to see, you can use that D10 to basically penalize all these paramilitary dudes' rolls by a D10.
That's what I want to do.
All right, so you can spend that plot point you just gained to do damage on top of making that environmental problem.
I'm going to go ahead and spend a plot point for Take Your Shot,
Okay.
which is going to double my weapon die. I said just one more D8.
Yep.
Not a 1.
2. All right, but it is another D8. So we're using a 10-sider for the effect, right?
Correct.
All right. So that's going to be the effect.
We have such sights to show you.
Oh, hey, thank you, man. Thanks for following, Chris. All right, so that's 1d8 or 1d10 for the effect. That's smoke. Chris, thank you so much for the sub, man. That's awesome for you. Thank you. And also, Oval, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. All right, so if
We have such sights to show you.
madness is happening, guys. I appreciate you guys. They're awesome. All right, so let's go really quick here. We're using a D10 for the smoke. We're using, what's your grand total for your score here that we're picking up for the dice? We've got the 7 and the 8, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
All right, so it's 15. Do you want to spend a point to do damage? Oh, no, you already
I
spent
don't
one.
do magic, Morty. I do science.
Right.
One takes brains, the other takes dark
for
eyeliner.
the additional D8.
All right, so let me go ahead and build a pool for this guy, and we'll see if he can actually, manage to avoid your damage. So he is in a team, so that's a D8. For him, he is going to be using his covert because they're moving so quickly and stealthily. They're hoping they're going to miss. So his covert is a D8. He'll get his normal D6s. He is also wearing body armor, but that's not really going to count here because you're not shooting him. You're shooting the grenade on his chest. So let's go ahead and roll that then.
I really hope that's not a Foss grenade.
No, he knows.
That's a nightmare for him, not me.
He knows it's not. Why is it still stuck on rolling the dice? Anybody seeing that? It just says rolling the dice, right? Ruh-roh. I think we broke.
Did we break the
Already?
system?
Hold on. All right, I'll do this manually. So it's 2d6. Oh no, I think we broke it.
Well done.
Oh no, I think we had an error encoding. That's just awesome.
You cannot escape my punishment.
Click and drag to roll dice. Huh?
Clearly not, man.
Let me roll dice.
Yeah, for click and drag, just go back to your wheelhouse and do automatically roll 3D dice.
Oh, that's right. All right, hold on. Technical difficulty. We're gonna get this stuff sorted out. Oh yeah, I do have to click and roll, drag the dice. Jesus.
Yep.
All right, there we go. That's much better. We almost broke the system, Ken. We almost broke the system already. All right, so here's what we got for the paramilitary guy. No ones. That's good. We have the score of 13, which is not going to beat. So essentially, you fire off the shot, it hits the canister on his chest, and you just hear that sudden explosion of the compressed gas just go off. Now, this actually is loud enough to shake the windows as they're descending the stairs here. But the smoke starts just billowing through the entire area as the smoke grenade goes off. This is when Daredevil will hear the weirdest thing in the world. As you're patrolling Hell's Kitchen, you're coming from the outskirts on in, so you're kind of traveling from the outside borders and kind of slowly circling your way back in through the city itself, or through the neighborhood itself. As you're coming on your second loop of just slowly coming closer in, you hear this sudden decompression of air. Like this canister just blows. It's like an aerosol can blowing up. Just boom! And you see this smoke just filling this small alleyway behind an apartment building. Like maybe, I'd say, 200 yards out.
Well, I'll definitely be swinging that way.
Okay, so in this surprise round, Punisher has definitely got the jump on these guys. They're like halfway between the second floor and the first floor on the back of these wooden stairs. The two guys in front were kind of doing overwatch to make sure everything was fine. And as they round that corner from the stairwell, Punisher takes aim and pulls off his shot, pops one of the smoke grenade canisters that actually blows this guy in his butt by the force of the explosion. He seems shocked, just that the way you see him in the thermal lens you're using, when he hits the ground, you just see his hands go like, what the hell just happened? As his buddies start kind of looking around in panic. The one guy who has the kid puts the kid down on the top of the stairwell and draws his gun.
Big mistake.
You see them getting ready, but they can't see you because they're stuck in the smoke. However, what you do see is the two of them that aren't on their asses right now reach up with their free hand and touch the side of their goggles, and they start looking through the area, like just immediate area around them. They haven't quite scoped out to get you by the alleyway yet, but they're definitely looking in the general area. So that being said, heroes go first in this game, and since Daredevil's en route, what is the Punisher doing?
Oh, the Punisher is making them have lots of regretful thoughts. I am going to attempt to toss onto the guy who is on his ass.
Yep.
One of the white phosphorus grenades I had gotten out of the war van.
You're just not even playing.
No, because
just not even playing.
The white phosphorus burns so bright. They've just turned on their night vision goggles. I'm going to blind them.
Okay. So
as well as really burning this guy up.
You do have the explosive special effects. So you can actually, for every multiple target, add a D6 and keep an additional effect die. And then for every complication create, like you're obviously blinding flare here.
Such sights to show.
Hey, thank you for the follow, man. I appreciate it. Let's watch these guys just get hell from Frank Castle. It's gonna be crazy. All right, so with your explosives, you can basically do an area attack, and for every person in that area that you're attacking, you get an additional D6 that gets added to your pool, right? You also can create an additional effect die, like you can start stacking them. For every one you create, you basically step it up immediately. So if you keep a D6, it becomes a D8. Keep a D8, becomes a D10, etc. And that will kind of linger for the rest of that turn. Like until their next turn, they're going to be blinded. You can make it last for the entire scene if you want to, but that costs spending a plot point once it's actually decided upon. All right?
All right.
Does that make sense? Kind of?
I think so.
We'll walk through it. All right, so right. Frank is shooting these poor paramilitary guys. Let's go ahead and build your dice pool. You're still solo.
Still solo. Definitely former Marine.
Former Marine will still definitely apply because now you're tossing white fuss.
to offset the night vision, right?
Yep. It's definitely going to be on your weapons. Yep. So it's going to be a D8, and then you add 3D6 on top of the normal 2D6 you're adding.
So add my 2D6, and then add 3 more.
Yes.
Okay. And then combat, so that's a D10, right?
Yes. Yes, it is. This is not looking good for this guy right now.
And that's the pool then?
Yeah, that's the pool.
Okay.
Oh, that's a bad day. I'm not even bothering with that one. You can keep that. I'm not taking it. I don't want that. Get it out of here. All right. So it looks like your highest 2 would make a 13, right?
Yes.
All right. So you get to keep 2 effect dice. One you can use for damage, and the other one's going to be the complication that all these guys have.
Okay, my 13 is going to be the 7 and the 6 off the 6-sider. My 2 complications are going to be both of those D10. Or no, D8 and a D8 and a D10. I'm sorry.
All right. Which one do you want to do as damage? Because one's damage, the other one's a complication.
D10 damage, D8 complication.
Jesus Christ! All right. So, do you want to spend?
Playing around, man. Don't capture kids.
Do you want to have
not on my watch?
Right. Do you want to spend a plot point to make it last for the entire scene? The complication?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Why not?
So spend your point. They are now all going to be down 1d8, and this one poor particular dude is down. is not feeling good. He's down to a d10. One more will actually mess him up. So you got the smoke, and then they're also 1d8 blinded for the turn, or for the scene. And one guy is at 1d10 physical stress. So essentially, when the phos grenade lands in this guy's lap, you can see he wasn't one of the guys who was adjusting his goggles. He was still like, what the hell just happened? You know, trying to like pull the thing off of his the bandolier in his chest. As the empty canister hits the ground, that's when the phos grenade goes bloop, bloop, and just lands right in his lap. And he looks at it, and you just see through your scope the fuck.
No. I'm not looking through the scope. When this phos goes up, my eyes are closed and my head's turned.
Good choice.
I'm not going to be blinded.
Good choice. So you just kind of like, nope, not looking. You hear the before the explosion goes off the phos grenade. This guy gets blasted right back onto the wooden stairs. The stairs are scorched around him. One of his buddies that was beside him, the force of that phos going off that just starts erupting his flashbangs because it blew up on him, sends one guy over the railing, and you hear that almost Wilhelm scream as he falls and hits the ground. The other guy gets blasted back onto the landing for the second floor and lands on his back. At that point, Daredevil swings onto the scene. You're at the building right across the street. This building is 1 story taller, so you can actually see down and see what's going on here. Now, luckily with radar sense and with your enhanced senses, the way that you see the world, this is not something that you're going to have problems with. The smoke, you can sense it, you can smell it, you can kind of see the way the air currents change as it billows out. But you can see clearly inside of it. And what you see is a teenage boy, can't be more than 15 or so by the build and by the height, laying down on the second floor landing for this little wooden balcony. His heartbeat is slow. He's probably been drugged. You can tell that automatically by your enhanced senses kicking in. The guy that was probably closest to him has landed right beside him on his back, singed a bit, and you see his daze from whatever explosion just went off. One guy just got thrown over the railing of the balcony, and the other one is literally this like mass of quivering, beaten, pulpy flesh. Like, he's still around, he's still conscious, but he's just been so burned. Like, the entire front of his tack vest is ripped open. You can see you can sense the burned and scarred flesh beneath. That smell hits you even from across the alleyway. His clothes are all burned because the phos just blew up literally in his lap. He's probably not having kids. Let's just get that out the way. But what makes it the most obvious thing is you smell, before you see him, you smell Castle. Like the gun oil, the preparation, the polish from his boots. And when your scent carries you down, more than likely. When your senses carry you down, you definitely get the image of Frank Castle crouched down with his high-powered rifle with a scope right behind this small wooden fence that's blocking off this small backyard area from the alleyway. Now, you also do sense that paramilitary vehicle in the alleyway that you can see. That's 100% there. And it doesn't seem like anybody's inside. You're not picking up any heartbeat from inside there, but you do get the sense of something's monitoring because you hear an occasional beep on the inside. Like it's probably monitoring what's going on. What do? You land on the rooftop. This is what you see.
All right, so there's one guy in his ass.
Yep.
One guy's on his back.
Yep.
On the landing.
Yep.
And then the other guy is sitting there with thoughts of his not having future children.
Well, that's probably the last thing on his mind right now. Now it's just pain. Pain is what's really encompassing him right now. But yeah, that's probably going to... Tomorrow, if he lives, yeah, definitely, that's going to be on his mind. But right now, just pain.
I will swing over to where the guy's on the landing on his back.
Okay. So
I'll land next to him.
Okay, so you throw the swing line out. The billy club manages to hook onto the balcony right above the second floor, and you swing on in. For Frank, you hear the swooping as his body cuts through the air of the alleyway above you, and you see that red blur as Daredevil lands on the second floor, the balcony on the second level there, right beside the guy that's on his back. These guys are going to be recovering. They're not able to really see because they still have the disadvantage you gave them. The one guy that's on his back, though, hearing somebody land beside him, he's just going to wildly shoot up at Daredevil. So on your reaction die, you're going to get an additional D8 on top of everything else you roll because he's blind, because he's shooting blindly. So we're going to go ahead and put together his dice pool. He is with a team. There's 3 or more. So that's a thing. He is not so skilled in combat, so that's going to be one more d6 there. He is using, however, his submachine gun, which is a d8. And we're going to roll. And not break it this time. I'm going to go with the 11 and keep a d6 for an effect die. Now you get to build a pool for your defense.
All right, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my baton and I'm just going to slap his gun away.
Okay.
In effect, if I can, to attempt to
Yeah.
actually disarm him of that.
Yeah.
I'll use Man Without Fear. I'm not
Okay.
afraid to get shot.
That's your d8.
Yep, I'll be using the Billy Club.
Right. Now, let's not
As
forget
a
your
weapon.
affiliation. Now that you've entered this combat, this fray, you're now acting as a buddy because you're a pair.
Right. So that'll be another D8.
Yep. Add in the Billy Club.
Yep, already added the Billy Club, which is a D6, and then my combat, which will be a D8.
And another d8 because he's blind.
I'll
Now,
take that too.
so a reaction normally, if you score higher than he did, so higher than an 11, you avoid the attack. If you want to deal damage or have an effect die, like you disarm him, you have to spend a plot point after rolling and you choose what you want to do. Right?
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead and roll your reaction.
All right. Yep.
That's a lot of dice.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep...
What the
I'm
hell?
going to keep the 16. I'm going to keep the 16 for my score. I'll keep the...
yeah, in the 2d6 base. But he already added it in.
The 2d6.
Yeah.
Right, and then the other D8 I'll keep for an effect die.
Okay. Do you want to spend a plot point to damage him or
I will spend a
disarm
plot
him?
point to disarm him.
Okay.
Yep.
So go ahead and spend your plot point. Essentially, as he swings up and just starts spraying wildly with this silenced submachine gun, bullets just start eating away at the bottom level of the balcony above you guys. And there are just shards and splinters of wood flying everywhere in the smoke. Because the smoke is still there. It's dissipating enough to where they're not really affected, but it's still there. And as he kind of swings towards you, you just slice out with the billy club, crack him right in the wrist, and the gun drops and just clanks down the stairs. The other guy that's on the ground takes off running. He actually will spend his entire time, he'll actually jump over the fence. Let's see if he can make it. It's going to say jumping a fence that's about average height. Is going to be probably like a 6 or a 7 difficulty. Let's see if he can make it. Let's build his pool. He is now acting solo because, well, his buddies are
abandoning his team.
His buddies are out of commission for the most part. He is going to add his covert because that's really kind of jumping, climbing over fences and stuff. I'm going to actually add from the Doom pool a D8. Oh, whoops! I did not mean to roll that. Ignore this roll. All right, we're gonna add the D8 from the Doom pool. And he's got no gear that's really gonna help him in this, so there's no power pool that's being added. So we're gonna roll. He needs a 7, we'll say. Well, I'll keep the D6. Excuse me, the D8 6. And a 4 on the D6, so that's a 10. Does anybody want to activate opportunity and gain that D8 for another action? If you do that, it spends a plot point to take it.
I'm out of plot points, so.
Okay, cool.
That's on Jeff. But
and
he's blind, right?
Yeah, he can't really see. He just went for the fence and is running. Very bouncing into stuff, you know?
Yep.
Which brings us to the next round. The guy on his back seems he's disarmed, he's dazed. The other guy that has D10 stress is just laying back, hoping for things to end soon so that he can get to a hospital. What do you guys do?
Well, I'm going to get up and walk through the gate so I'm in the actual backyard.
Okay.
And I'm going to help the injured guy on the ground and his misery while looking to see where the guy who's running is going, because Red has the other guy.
It looks like he's gone over the fence into the net's little small backyard area. and he's staggering around. Like, he's just running forward. You can, through the scope, you can kind of see he's got his arms out. He's trying to feel in front of him so he doesn't crash into anything. But he's just running full tilt as much as he can. So he's scrambling a bit here and there.
Never mind. I'm going to have to get him first.
Okay.
As long as I'm looking through the scope.
All right. So you're going to pop off a shot at this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have the buddy system going on.
Yep, which unfortunately reduces one of your die.
Taking a shot at a running target, former Marine.
Sure.
So that's another D8.
With my senses, is his trajectory going for a kill shot or a maim shot?
Well, what is that going for there, Chris? I mean...
No witnesses.
Yeah.
So
that's a kill shot, sir.
D8.
So I'm going to grab one of the grenades off of this guy's chest. And I'm not going to pull the pin, but I'm going to whip it at his gun so it knocks it just enough down for a kneecap instead of a fucking back of the head.
Oh, okay.
And a master, so that's a D10.
Go ahead and roll. So basically, what you'll do is you'll use an effect die to create a complication for Frank. It'll give his adversary a bonus, right? So go ahead and build your pool and roll while he's building his pool for this shot.
I'm going to argue that I am now solo and not with a buddy. Because
we're still buddies. I'm just trying to help you not kill
would not. I'm already convicted of 37 murders that they know of.
That they know of.
So what's another one?
Not while I'm around.
Oh, man, you little bastard.
So here's the question for Frank. You've already started taking aim, and you can just feel that Red is not going to let this go down. You hear like the clip of one of the grenades get pulled off one guy's chest. Do you want to abandon this shot and just avoid the attack, or is Red going to hit you and potentially knock your aim off? Because I'm going to make...
All right, how about this?
Because I'm going to make him roll...
This is what I'd like to do, Ray.
Yep.
I would like to, if I'm going to change this, I'm going to sigh and drop the gun down towards the ground, the barrel. Instead of it being forward, I'm just going to be like, and like go like this.
And shoot the other guy?
Hopefully. Yes, absolutely. I'm hoping that Red catches a deep sigh and thinks that I'm not going to shoot the guy. But I'm gonna take the other guy out of his misery. He is burned.
I kind of got to give you this because there's not gonna be a heartbeat change here. You know what I mean? Like, there's not gonna be any change of like, oh, you can tell his heartbeat has changed a little bit in pace. It's Frank. He's just taking out the trash, man. So, literally, as he pulls a gun down, you throw, and it knocks the gun a bit. Like, so he's definitely not aiming at the guy anymore that he was gonna shoot. And it comes down, and then he just pulls the trigger on the other guy.
Fuck.
You want some ones, Ray?
I'll take the D8. So,
both of them?
Oh, did you roll 2 D8?
You rolled 2, yeah.
Yep. D6 and 2 D8s are all 1.
I'll take the 2 D8s. Go ahead and take 2 plot points.
Okie dokie. So that gives me the 4 on the D8, the 5 on the D10.
For the 9, and then a D6 for the stress.
D6, right.
He's down and out. His armor where you're shooting is completely gone, so he gets sent on his merry way into the afterlife. Essentially, you swing the rifle down, pop him right in the chest. Yep. And he goes down. The other one is still running. You hear him huffing and puffing away. He gets through that 1 yard, slams into the fence on the other one. It's chain link, so he just scrambles over it. Still kind of like his eyes are not working properly. The guy on his back that's been disarmed just lays there with his hands kind of like out and up. Because now he's disarmed, and he knows he's got at least 2 combatants around him, and he can't see. He's not going to risk it.
All right. Because he's in that situation, I'll actually utilize my swing rope. And I'm going to go after the guy that's running.
Well, as you look down to make sure that's the thing, I'm gonna spend a D8 out of the Doom pool to make a change to the scene, and that guy gets away.
Oh,
Ooh.
shit. It makes sense that he gets away because I am going to pursue his buddy, and I figured Frank Castle would have this guy.
Well, his buddy is
I
the one.
certainly will.
Yeah, the one guy's dead. The other guy that was running over the fences, he gets away. That's the D8. He's down.
Oh, that guy.
That
I
guy.
got
Yeah,
you.
the guy that you went to go swing at. You go throw your line out, and you pull it taut and look and try to get a sense of him, and you lose him in the nets block over his traffic.
Then I'll be heading right back to the other guy so he doesn't get away.
All right, so you just swing up and swing back. Frank
Yep.
has pretty much the turn with that one guy on his back. What do you do?
I'll look up at Red and be like, "You got him, Red?"
Yeah, Frank. What are you doing here?
Well, I was gonna pop the kid's dad because he's been stealing from drug dealers money and drugs. But if you look in their apartment, never mind. Their apartment, I know you can't see it, but it's just this guy's not rich, man. He's watching TV shows on his phone, and yeah, there's some takeout, but nowhere near the hundreds of thousands of dollars he supposedly has stolen. By the way, that's his kid that these guys tried to steal. But I'm gonna go check out their vehicle because you got him right, and you're not gonna let me make sure he doesn't do anything like this again, right?
Yeah, I'll put my foot on the guy's chest if he's still laying on his back.
Yeah, he's still on his back.
And I'll just kind of point my baton at Frank. No killing.
I'm gonna go see a car.
I'll just like tilt my head, like, really? You can kill 20 people going to a car, Frank.
Well, that's true, but there's been enough gunfire. I'm gonna stoop. I'm gonna pick up the silencer, the silenced machine gun this guy had,
Okay.
and because it's gonna get added to my collection.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna leave the backyard and try and scoot across the street because I want to take a look at this armored vehicle.
Oh, it's in the alleyway.
Oh,
Right,
yeah,
a little bit down, like maybe 5 or 6 yards away from the back alley. The backyard you guys went into. That's where it's parked.
okay.
So
All right,
the
I'm gonna go
back
take a look.
the back of this vehicle is actually facing this area. So the back is
gotcha.
like a APC hatch, right? It's got a lock on it, and you just basically crank the handle down and pull it open. When Frank gets up there, the vehicle's still on. The engine's still running. When you grab the handle and pull it down, after double checking to make sure there's no explosives, right?
Right.
You pull the thing open, and you can see the back has like a restraint chair. Probably what they're gonna put this kid in. And there's 2 seats for like two people to sit in, like probably one of the squad members here in the back. And then you can see one person would actually drive the vehicle. There's a couple of instrument panels up there. Looks like various types of GPS and other sorts of like electronic monitoring. There's actually a gunner seat beside the driver's side for the gun that's attached to the back, that machine gun. There aren't any weapons visible. There's maybe a bandolier of some flashbangs, but that's about it. That's in the back here, weapon-wise.
I'll grab that too.
Okay.
I'm gonna go around to the side and open up the door, the driver's door,
Okay.
and take a look at everything inside here.
It looks like this thing is run off of biometric controls. Like you can see the steering column where the wheel is at. There's spots for like that sensors are on.
Mhm.
There's no ignition key. There's just a little push button that's probably got some sort of scanner on it. The seat itself, this looks like a military made vehicle. Let's put it that way. There's not a lot of creature comforts here. It's all very practical.
I'll stand up and I'll take a look back at the rear mounted crew weapon. Is it involved to remove it?
You need
Or
to
is
have it
this
in the
thing
shop.
like okay?
Yeah, because it's hardwired to the controls inside.
I'm gonna pop a white phosphorus and I'm gonna put it on the dashboard and close the door and walk away.
Okay. You set it in there?
No one's gonna use this. They're gonna have to come back and get it.
Right, no kidding. You lean in through the driver's side door, you pop the pin, put it on the dash right above all the controls. close the door and walk back. As you're walking away, you can hear the hissing of the phos start burning through the dash, and then that snap and the crackle and all the popping sounds of electronics just getting fried by the grenade as it goes off. For Matt, over even the couple, like a dozen or so yards you are away from this, that smell just hits you like a sledgehammer in the face. It's white phos, burning plastic, burning rubber, electronics going up in smoke, the smell of ozone. It just smells horrific. Do you walk back, Frank?
Well, Red already said that he's got this guy, and I'm not going to allow, be allowed to. You know what? No, yeah, I'll go back in the backyard. I'll start heading up the stairs.
Okay.
I'm going to pick up the kid.
All right. So you walk up past the body that's on the stairs still. Now, for Daredevil, while Frank was away, these guys have like zip ties on them. You could restrain this guy if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'll zip tie him, and I'll zip tie him to one of the metal posts, so he can't go anywhere.
Okay.
And I'll just kind of crouch down next to him and be like, "What are you doing with the kid? Where are you taking him?"
Now that his eyesight is kind of coming back, you can see his head turned towards you, but it doesn't seem like his gaze is focused. It's still probably really spotty. And since he can't rub his eyes because he's being restrained, he's just kind of suffering through it. He looks over at you and he goes, "You know what? None of your fucking business."
None of my business. That's very much my business. You're taking a kid in Hell's Kitchen.
Come on, and everybody knows that Daredevil doesn't kill people, so there's nothing you can threaten me with. And that's literally what Frank hears as he walks up towards the kid.
Told you that policy would bite you in the ass.
I'll just kind of nod.
Smack him with a baton, Ken says.
I'll just pull out the baton and I'll put it like right underneath his nose. One of those pressure points right there, and I'll just push a little bit. Tell me, or I walk away and let Frank have his way.
All right, this is now a roll. So
I would like to use my menace.
Yes, you will definitely be using your menace.
I will chuckle.
With Frank there, I will give you an additional D8.
Okay, and I get a D8 for being with a buddy.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we're definitely buddying up on this.
I think blind justice is apropos.
I think that's appropriate too. And Frank, in this case, his buddy system is very conditional, apparently.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
for blind justice, do I get a D8?
Yes, you do. D8.
It's a D8. Okay. Yep. I'll be using the baton itself. Nothing special, just
the D6
worth.
Okay.
Right. I'll be utilizing my hypersenses to monitor his heart. I don't think I'll get that won't add to this roll because it's the intimidation roll, but
so here's what you can do. You can use that in conjunction with your efforts and actually add that heightened senses dice to your roll if you spend a plot point. Because you're creating like a stunt, effectively. You're creating a stunt to work those two together.
Okay. Yeah, it works. It's a D10, so I'll definitely take it. And then the D8 for menace. I think that's it.
Okay.
So, still going to be a good one.
Make him pee his pants.
He might. That's a lot of dice.
All right.
Do me a favor. Feel free to take a plot point.
D10, huh?
I'm taking that D10.
I figured you were gonna.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to take the 6 and the 7, and then I'll use one of the other D8s as the effect die.
All right, so you got a 13, and the other D8 is an effect. All right, cool.
You got it.
That's actually a really nice roll. Let me see if he can manage to hold himself under the pressure. Now, he is by himself, so he's only solo. So he gets a D4. He has no specialty that applies here. He has no gear that applies here. So we're shooting for the fences here. And actually, there's no way I can meet or... I'm going to try anyways. Let's see what happens. He had 2 1s and a 5, so his score is a 5. All right, I will give you. Let's see how many questions. I'll give you 1d3 questions. Oh my god! All right, You get 3 questions that he must answer as truthfully as he can.
Who are you taking the kids for?
He's taking the kids for, well, you mean like who hired him essentially to take the kids?
Right.
He doesn't know. He basically says, I don't know. My boss gave us the assignment.
Are there any other kids on your list?
Not tonight.
And why are you? Oh, wait, I already asked why, right?
No, you asked.
Or no, I asked who you work for.
Yeah,
why
yes.
are you taking the kids?
Because they're Inhumans.
I'll just kind of look over at Frank with the kid.
Kid's still passed out.
I'll look back at him. Are you killing them?
I ain't killing kids. You kidding me? They ain't paying me enough for that. Like, he just leans back against the pole you have him, like, cuffed to, essentially. You can see him, like, through the mask. His lips are moving a lot because it's still really freaking sore where you're pressing down when you ask the questions. But he's looking up at you. Obviously, his eyes are clearing up a bit. His vision's getting back to normal. And as he's looking up, he's like, they didn't hire me enough to kill kids. Like, I don't do that.
So where do you get your orders from? Who's your boss?
I mean, they could kill me if I tell you that.
I mean, Frank might kill you if you don't.
Yeah, but you wouldn't let him do that, right? He just kind of looks at you,
I
like
mean,
between you and him, like a little nervous.
I'll stand straight up, kind of like how he does in the series when he's thinking about something. You know what? I think I'm gonna. Frank, can you watch this guy for a minute? I'm gonna take the kid back home.
Sure.
I'll just look back at the guy and I'll shrug.
I'm gonna take a look at. I want to see what model submachine gun this is. See if it's well taken care of. Like, I'm gonna just be interested in this silenced weapon.
All right. So you look over the gear that he has, or the gear that you got from this guy. They're newer model. They're not quite like current military standard, but they're like maybe a generation away. As you look at the gun, though, he's looking at you. Look at the gun, and he looks back the way Daredevil went.
That's the point.
And he looks back at the gun and you again, and you just hear this guy sigh. He's like, "Fuck me."
I'd be really forthcoming right now if I were you.
Yeah, but I got a feeling that you're gonna kill me anyways, right? Like, you just dropped a grenade in my buddy's lap.
Yeah,
What
one ran.
what promise I got that I'm getting out of here?
Red's still on scene. Now, if he leaves, then you have to worry.
All right, listen. I can't tell you who my boss is, but I can tell you roundabout where we were taking the kid, man.
Okay.
There's an old Roxxon Oil and Hammer Industries warehouse not too far outside the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
I'll write down the address when you uncuff me.
Oh, you can just tell me the address.
I mean, you can uncuff me too.
I could kill you.
Sure could. But then if you kill me, you don't get the information.
Hey, you're either walking away or being carried away in a body bag. Doesn't matter to me.
I get that, but I'm trying to bargain here, man. You know? Like...
Yeah. You don't have any bargaining chip, though.
Hey...
You're still a kid.
Not like we were going to kill him. Right?
I don't know that.
I mean...
You walked in. I'm looking over his body armor. You got body armor on.
Yeah, the kid's an Inhuman. We don't know what they can do.
Half a dozen smoke grenades, silenced weapons.
Yep, just in case.
Just in case. Yeah, that's, I don't know, man.
I mean, you know, I'm not going to jump in.
It really depends on how much you think your life is worth. To me, it's not worth anything. But if you have a lot of information to give me, I don't know.
I can just give you the location. That's what I got. That's what I can give you.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right, give me the location.
They'll give you the address. And when you hear it, it's definitely in the industrial district. It's actually in Brooklyn, across the Hudson. It's not that far from actually the bridge that goes over. It's towards an edge of an industrial park there. And it's not really rocks anymore. Like, having kind of toured through that area, like looking for places to hide your shit and make little bolt holes, it used to be a Roxxon location with Hammer. Now it's Roxxon and like some other small subsidiary that does like some sort of defense contracting. You just heard the name in passing before. Nothing major, nothing big.
The other kids on your list.
I only get them once. The ones that we come out, we get another one when we go back. We only got room for one in there.
And what are you using to subdue them?
We got a tranquilizer.
Yeah, where's that?
Well, and he kind of looks down to one of the side pouches of his BDUs. I got two of them in there.
I'm gonna step on his ankle so he can't fucking move, and I'm going to fish something. I'm gonna fish the contents of that BDU pouch out.
All right, so you come out with like two like slender EpiPen type situations, right? There's a cap on it with a needle, and you just pop it on somebody, like you push it against their skin to inject them. It's quite a bit of clear fluid, so it's got to be either a really like weak or like adjustable dose, because there's a lot in there. A standard trank, you wouldn't want to give somebody that much because it's like literally the size of like a long pen.
You just wow.
What? I didn't stick them. I got both of mine. These are just in case the other guys didn't work. And he kind of nods towards the guy who's like a crispy critter corpse on the stairwell. He's the guy who stuck him.
Is your other buddy going back to your home base?
I don't know where that coward motherfucker went. And he actually kind of looks towards the gate or the fence that this guy jumped over and took off. Like, you can hear when he turns the twist ties that he's been kind of cuffed with to this pole kind of grind against the pole itself as he shifts and looks that direction, and then winces because you're still on his freaking ankle, and he looks back up at you. He's like, I don't know where that bastard went. You know what I mean.
Stick him with an EpiPen.
Just.
I'm gonna stick him.
You stick him. He's like, what the heck? And then just you see him go slack against the pole.
I'm gonna put the empty one back in his pouch, and I'm gonna take the other one and put it in mine.
Okay.
And I'm gonna wait for Red to come back out.
Okay. So
just sort of sitting there. I'm gonna take the pistols, any extra clips, any of their weapons.
You get about a handful of salvageable clips, like maybe 2 or 3, between the two bodies that are here. One of them is just completely ruined because of the phos grenade that went off. It's just not going to work. You do get some extra ammo, maybe 2 handguns, like 2 of their sidearms. While Daredevil's in the apartment, are you trying to be sneaky, or are you just like kick down the door, take him in, fuck his dad being scared, who knows?
No, I'm literally going to be sneaky. I'm going to sneak him back into his own bedroom, lay him in bed, and then I'm going to bounce out of the house through the same window I come into.
You want to roll your covert for me, please? So let's go and build that pool.
All right, so I'll go with a D8 for definitely protect our Hell's Kitchen.
Right.
I'm still technically buddy, so D8. Billy Club. I'd like to utilize my superhuman senses, just to basically utilize it to make sure his dad stays in the living room.
Okay, so try to track down the guy so you can make your steps more appropriate. I got you. Yeah, that's fine.
Exactly. It assists with my covert abilities here.
Okay.
And then the D8 for covert. I think that's it.
Okay. Let's see what you got.
Oh, why is this being goofy? Add a D8. There we go. Okay.
Stop rolling D6 ones. I don't need those. I want the higher ones.
So I'll definitely keep the 14.
Okay.
And then I'll use the 6 on the D8 for if I need to basically hinder him coming to the bedroom. Like I'll scoot like a chair in what would normally be his normal trajectory to the room.
You just slow him down a little bit. I got you.
Slow him down. Right.
So you manage to make your way in through the window. You have to pause a couple of times with the kid because you can feel and hear him moving through the walls, obviously, as he's around the kitchen. He's done with his Price is Right for the night. He's actually getting a drink of whiskey. It's like maybe 1:20 in the morning. This guy's having a drink of whiskey. He goes to the living room. You hear the click of the switch in the kitchen go off as a light turns off, and you can feel the heat from the light bulb slowly start to dissipate as it goes dark in the kitchen. Likewise, you hear the click as he flips a switch in the living room and then turns on the TV, and you can feel like subtly on your skin and in the air that temperature differential kind of rise a bit as the electronics turn on. You manage to sneak this kid into his room. You pull aside a kitchen table like chair and put it just in the hallway just to interrupt him should he come your way. You get the kid back into his bed and you slide back out.
Before I slide out, I want to utilize just my keen senses. I want to make sure this is this kid's bedroom and not like this guy brings home different kids, leaves them in that bedroom, and that team comes and confiscates them.
Fair enough. That's a pretty legit thing. With your senses, especially your sense of smell, it's definitely this kid. The kid's scent is all over this room. He's got some gym gear in the side, like a side closet. What bothers you, though, is that you can smell gun oil in that closet, too.
I'm going to go check it out.
Kid's got a handgun hidden. Once you open the door, it's easy for your sense of smell to detect it. It's a handgun that looks like he hid in his backpack, his school backpack.
Oh, well, we're definitely going to take that.
Okay.
I'll pull the clip out and pull the extra bullet out, and I'll kind of tuck them into my belt, and I'll tuck the unloaded gun in the back because I'll completely disable it and drop it off at a police station somewhere.
Okay. And then you slip him back out.
Yep. Then I'll slip back out and I'll head back over to where Daredevil's at. Okay. I didn't hear any gunshots, so we should be okay.
Where Daredevil's at, huh?
Or I'm sorry, where Punisher's at.
Out of body experience. All right, no problem. You make your way back through the apartment without incident. You can hear the dad's just sitting down having some drinks as he's watching just late night TV. You make your way out back through that back window, slide out, close it behind you, nice and quiet. And when you get out there, as shocking as it may seem, the guy that you had twisty tied up to the pole isn't moving anymore. But you can tell by his heart rate and by the body heat, he's still alive. He's just been drugged.
Drugged is better than dead. And when I land back,
kill him.
I'll land back on the porch he's on and be like, all right, what did you get?
Address.
All right, what's the address?
They go and they pick up a kid. They drug him. Apparently it works on humans too. I don't know what the dosage is, but whatever. They drug the kid. They throw him back. The melting vehicle over there has a chair in the back of it with straps. They turn him back in, and they get the next name and location.
Let's go check out that address.
Sounds good to me. Meet you there?
Yep.
All right.
I'll stay there and I'll wait for Frank to start heading down the stairs.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is
There's an uncomfortable silence as I don't move either.
As you both just kind of sit there in this alleyway. All right, so that's the first little episode there. We had our basic first little introduction of what's going on. The heroes discovered that some Inhuman kids are getting kidnapped by some nefarious force or organization, and now they're looking to start investigating it. This episode was a little bit longer than what the rest are probably going to be cut up into. It was just kind of hard to find a good stopping point for all the action, and once the roleplay got ended. So it dragged a little longer than we would have probably normally have cut it for. But this is a good point to stop. We'll pick up next time where they start investigating the trail and the address that was given to them by that paramilitary guy that they captured and subsequently knocked out. So we'll see what happens when they get there.